This year in the Australian GT Championship, the concrete confines have not been kind to the series leader. It's in really deep. Bang! The fence. Bang! And his main title rival has been unstoppable on the streets. Clark Quinn, no problems for this guy though. Hanging it out. Now the series finale heads to another danger zone, with a season title balanced on a razor's edge. It's championship day today in the Australian GT Championship, protected by Sergeant Security here at Sydney Olympic Park. Lee Holdsworth from Irwin Racing's alongside me for this final round of the championship. And Lee, it's been a cracking year in GT. Clark Quinn in the Porsche, Peter Hackett in the Mercedes-Benz. It's going down to the wire just like we'd like it.
That's right. Everyone wants to see this. The spectators are going to love it. That's what we want to see, what the drivers want to see, coming down to the wire. But Hackett, he crashed out in the first round. He's been on the comeback trail all year long, hasn't finished off the podium since. So he's coming into this round with a heap of momentum behind him.
But he's not the only one with momentum. Clark Quinn in the Porsche has been dominant on the street tracks this year. He won the opening round in Adelaide, he won the last round on the Gold Coast, and this is a street track as well. It's bound to go down to the wire in 2012.
The final round of racing for GT Championship honours couldn't have been scripted any better. It's set to be a classic duel between two classic German marques, the Mercedes SLS AMG, driven by Peter Hackett, and Clark Quinn's Porsche GT3R. Hackett leads his rival by just 3 points and will be hoping to turn the team's fortunes around after some heart-stopping moments at the last round on the Gold Coast.
Look at this. Off the curb and launches the thing. That's
some of the hang time that everybody's talking about wasn't really planned. We had both cars had a small drama locking rear brakes into the fast first corner, and we had to shortcut the chicanes. Fortunately, I was a little bit lucky. I managed to straighten the car up and hit the curbs in such a way that I didn't break anything.
This round, Erebus Racing has secured another famous face to assist Hackett. Considered one of the greatest touring car drivers of all time, German Bernd Schneider will drive the team's second AMG Mercedes entry.
Of course, if I go for a race, I like to win. Obviously here, the target is that Peter going to win the championship, but this team made an awesome job so far. They prepared the car perfect, and I guess if you watch the car, it's one of the most beauty SLS I ever have seen, and I'm very proud to run it here in Sydney.
Clark Quinn knows what it's like to finish runner-up after claiming second in last year's championship behind Mark Eddy. But after dominating the street races this year, he thinks he has the equipment to finally get the job done.
We've got a couple of advantages up our sleeve. The Porsche is very good at street tracks. Clipsal, we come away with every race win, and Gold Coast, every race win, and I just got to back it up again for a third time here at Sydney Homebush, and then come away with the championship. That'd just be awesome.
Third in the championship is Peter Edwards, thanks to some part-time help from the 2012 Touring Car Masters champion John Bowe, who will also partner him at this round. But the Ferrari driver believes he has his work cut out for him this time round.
Not the best car for this track. We're much better in sort of fast sweeping tracks. So traction out of the corners, ultimate horsepower. There's better cars for these sorts of circuits. The Porsche's amazing here. The Mercedes have got a hell of a lot of grunt. This is not really our type of circuit for the car setup, but we'll give it a red hot go.
A surprise performer at the last round on the Gold Coast was 12th in the championship, Rod Salmon. He claimed 4th in his Audi and is hopeful of again causing an upset.
The Audi's a shorter wheelbase car, so it's a little more nimble around these tighter circuits, and certainly the big fast circuits where there's lots of open flowing, we're not as competitive. But once the tracks start tightening up, we're right there, and concrete walls either side. A lot of guys haven't driven this track, I haven't either, so it's all. I think we're in for a good weekend.
Stay with us after the break. All the action from race 1.
You're watching the Australian GT Championship from the streets of Sydney's Olympic Park. Hired gun Bernd Schneider eclipsed everyone in qualifying to take pole position in the traditional rolling start.
Schneider versus John Bowe, who's on board the Ferrari 458, the timed opening race down to turn 1. Clark Quinn in the Porsche is through to second spot. Hackett is 4th. Then it's Rod Salmon in the Audi down the inside on the similar R8 of Peter Conroy. But Bernd Schneider's form this weekend. This guy's a 5-time DTM German touring car champ. No one's got close to him.
And look at Hackett up the inside of John Bow down into turn 2. Look at the mumbo from this thing.
This thing really growls. 6.2 litre V8 engine. And Bow will hand this car over to Peter Edwards. Not all cars have 2 drivers, most of them with solo pilots for this race. Schneider leading the way, Clark Quinn chasing. Peter Hackett's been able to extend the championship margin because of qualifying in front of Clark Quinn. Points for qualifying, that's a nice little incentive. He's 4 points clear of the Porsche, who's actually going with Bernd Schneider. No, he's not, he's down the road, nearly in the fence.
Yeah, you can actually see just offline, it's a little wet, so it's a drying track. So conditions are very hard out there, and Quinny just got offline, ran a bit long.
Schneider, though, clearing away, back on board with Clark Quinn, the GT3R with the paddle shift gearbox. This is the replay, just too deep. And all but in the tyre bundle. That was close.
Certainly was. He nearly ran into the back of Schneider there too, so he elected to go straight ahead. And just missed.
Close.
On lap 3, the race took a dramatic turn.
Peter Conroy here in the Audi R8 and just getting into experience and getting ready for next year's Bathurst 12-hour, just behind Tony Quinn, back in the Ferrari 458 this weekend. We saw him in the Nissan GTR on the Gold Coast. We've seen him in the Mosler, but he's down the inside and getting a move, but he's not going to pull it up. Oh, this is Hackett. He's parked, but where's he parked? He's in drama. Quinn losing a spot to the Lamborghini of Dean Koutsamides, the trophy class champion car of this year, sharing with Andrew McInnes. But Hackett's off the road somewhere, but we're not quite sure where. Oh, look at the damage. The championship leader is in the concrete wall. And this will swing things back in favour of Clark Quinn. Here's a replay, turn 5. He's lost the rear, backed it into the concrete, hit the other wall. Now it spins, hits the other wall, and it finishes. Oh, no foot on the brake pedal, and it rolled straight back in.
There's a lot of damage there. Slaps one wall to the other, and then slides back and into another wall. So you can see the dollars every hit, can't you?
And this is championship-changing stuff. Oh, that's violent. Hackett is out. The 63 SLS is crunched. And Clark Quinn won't be able to seal the title in this race, but he will just about put it out of reach. That is if they can get this car even fixed for the next race.
Yeah, that's right. Quinn, he'll be pumping his fist. I mean, it's unfortunate for Hackett.
The main players in the race all pitting on lap 9.
Now, Bernd Schneider, leader in. Compulsory pit stop times here, but Schneider, being a seeded driver, has an extra 9 seconds. Clark Quinn started on the second row of the grid, so his total pit stop time is actually 12 seconds shorter than Bernd Schneider. He'll get back some ground here, but he won't be able to make up the pace on the Merc on the track as John Bower pits to hand over to Peter Edwards. And JB's done a great job. He's worked this year with the Maranello Motorsport team. They've been preparing his Mustang in the TCM Touring Car Masters most recently. There's Bernd Schneider, race leader, sitting, waiting, watching, and rumbling back onto the circuit. Clark Quinn is released in the Porsche and just doesn't need to do anything silly here. Hackett out of the race. The championship is coming back to Clark Quinn.
So Schneider exits the pits. Clark has reduced the margin, even with the extra long pit stop that Schneider had, but he's very, very quick, so there's still a fair gap.
And time is ticking, Lee. Not long to go in this race. Looks like with the way the clock is, just a few more laps.
But there was no catching the Erebus Racing recruit, and he dominated the race from start to finish.
He may be 48 years of age and no longer race full-time in the DTM, but this man is a star of world motorsport. Awesome to have him here in the Australian GT Championship. And Bernd Schneider has smashed them. He wins race 1 at Sydney Olympic Park. Great news for Erebus Racing on one side of their garage. Bad news on the other side for Peter Hackett, because Clark Quinn will come home in second spot. He'll take the championship lead going into the last race.
Hackett really needs something special in the next race, and he really needs for Clark Quinn to have a shocker.
And he needs for that car to be repaired and on the grid. Edwards and Bowe third from Tony Quinn. Peter Conroy fifth, but Clark Quinn is right in the title picture.
Well, Clark, you're leading the championship now. Wow, what a development in that race.
I know, right? I saw Hackett behind me and he wasn't too far from me, and the next straight I looked behind and he wasn't there, so then the radio call come on and said that Hackett's in the wall. You know, I was kind of disappointed then, like, you know, we still got one more race, but, you know, disappointed for him. But obviously I'll take every point I can get because I need it, and, you know, we've still got one more race, so anything can happen. Ask Peter Hackett.
After the break, it's the season's championship deciding race. This is round 7 of the Australian GT Championship. For the second race of the weekend, Clark Quinn had moved up to the front row for the rolling start alongside the Race 1 winner.
Final race of the championship. Peter Hackett is in the field. The Mercedes has made it onto the grid. We get running down towards turn 1. Bernd Schneider, the Race 1 winner, will head us away. Clark Quinn is in the box seat for the championship. He doesn't need to do anything too silly. Have a look at this. Peter Edwards in the Ferrari, the Lamborghini's in there. There's Hackett. They've done a great job repairing that Mercedes just to get it onto the grid. They even had corporate guests from Snap-on Tools getting in there helping themselves.
Wow, big effort, big effort. Clark Quinn knows he just has to stay ahead of Peter Hackett, and he's doing a great job, and he just wants, I'm sure he wants to hang on to Schneider. He doesn't want to let him get away.
I don't think he's going to be able to. Schneider, the German, is just too fast. His fastest lap in the first race was comfortably quicker than anybody else could even get close to. He was over a second faster than Clark Quinn's Porsche. I love the way that these cars ride through the curbs on this opening lap. There's Scott Taylor in the Porsche 997 on debut in the GT Championship. But already, Schneider clearing away. Clark Quinn comfortable in second spot. That will give him his first Australian GT Championship if he stays where he is.
Well, he was runner-up last year. He doesn't want to play second fiddle this year. Hackett, a move on the inside, which moves him up another position.
But he needs more. He needs to get in front of Clark Quinn. He needs the Porsche to drop back. Now he gets a move on the trophy class Lamborghini of Dean Koutsoumides and Andrew McInnes. This is the car run by the Minder Motorsport team. They've done a great job. They're the trophy class champions for this year for the older spec GT3 cars. There's Tony Quinn, category owner these days of the Australian GT Championship. His son is looking the goods to win the title.
There's a lot of money out on this track with these cars. They're beautiful cars, sensationally presented, and they're wringing the necks of these cars around a concrete jungle.
It is a little bit of a worry, but these guys are getting stuck into it. Hackett is coming. He needs to get moving. He's down the inside on the Ferrari 458. Peter Edwards will step aside. Remember, he will finish third in the championship. He's done a great job this year with John Bowe.
Dean Koutsoumides' Lamborghini had been stuck in a Ferrari sandwich since the start of the race.
A little bit wide, the Equity One Lamborghini, and that will give Tony Quinn a little bit of a chance. And this team with the Lamborghini, they're looking to upgrade potentially to a newer car next year. And they step aside and Quinn goes charging on through. If you like Italian cars, you're happy with either.
Oh, a slide there, and you can actually see his mirror is hanging off. So he's been pushing hard, obviously kissed the wall somewhere.
Now Quinn down the inside on Peter Edwards, the run towards turn 9. And Edwards and John Bowe have won a race this year at Sydney Motorsport Park. The Ferraris have been generally quite fast this season, but haven't converted it into race wins. And this track, as Peter Edwards said at the start of the show, doesn't really suit these cars.
Well, they're a very, very stiff car, so these bumps don't really suit it. That's why they may be just a little off the pace here. Last couple of corners of the track, and I think Peter Edwards will be in. He's coming in for the first compulsory pit stop to hand over to John Bowe in the Ferrari.
And the window is between 1/3 and 2/3 of race distance, so being a timed race, they have to get their maths right. Edwards to step out, John Bowe to step in. Oh, just missed the mark there a little. Bowe, of course, former Bathurst winner, Australian Touring Car champ, Australian Drivers champ, Touring Car Masters. He's done it all. Bernd Schneider, the race leader, on his way in a pit lane. Look at how quickly he gets to this 40km/h speed line. There, bang, down on the speed limit and closing on in. No driver change, no tyre change. They will adjust the tyre pressures, though, on the Mercedes. It sounds the part, this car. It looks the part. There goes Clark Quinn in the Sargent Security Porsche. He takes the lead. He's yet to make his stop. And Schneider has the longest stop of all drivers in the field.
He could nearly get out and have a coffee right now.
He won't, but he probably could. There's Scott Taylor pulling in the Porsche. Clark Quinn leading the way, yet to make his compulsory stop. And he's on target for the championship because when the pit stop shuffle works out, Schneider will still be the leader, but Clark Quinn will be comfortably in second spot, and that's all he needs to do to seal his first Australian GT championship.
So Clark Quinn in the VIP Pet Foods Porsche is going around for another lap. He has to pit soon. The pit stop window is coming up to a close, so it will be very, very soon.
When we return, it's the race to the checkered flag. You're back with the Australian GT Championship. A safety car was very nearly required on lap 12.
This is major damage. Nick McBride, the young gun in the Porsche. This is the car that Jan Ginnidas has been driving in the Challenge class this year. Nick's back from racing in Britain in Formula Ford and Formula 3. What's he done here?
That's one of the chicanes. It looks like he may have hit the tyre bundle there and taken out the front of his car and the radiator. Totally missed the corner.
Oh, wham, straight over. Massive damage to that Porsche Cup car. And he's stranded and left a whole pile of coolant for the rest of the field to drive through.
Want to be careful coming out of there. It'll be very slippery.
Clark Quinn is the race leader. Still yet to make his compulsory stop, but in fact he is in this time around. So the championship on the line. He needs a good solid entry here. Don't speed in pit lane. Come to a stop in the box. Wait for time and rejoin the race.
The big question is, where's he going to pop out? Is he going to be in front of Schneider or behind? It's going to be close.
Here's the Lamborghini of Dean Koutsamides and Andrew McInnes, but right on his hammer is the Merc with the great man behind the wheel, Bernd Schneider. Firing on through now. Clark Quinn is still in the pits. Schneider's already made his stop. Former Formula 1 driver who drove for the Zaxpeed team and former teammates with Mark Webber when Mark was a much younger Mercedes FIA GT sports car driver. They finished second in the championship in '98. He is still one of the stars. He's been doing all the 24-hour classic races this year. He goes back into the lead because there is Clark Quinn coming down pit lane. So it's Schneider who's on target to win both races in the round, but it's Quinn who's on target for the big prize.
Yeah, no doubt Clark Quinn would have seen Schneider fly past, but that won't worry him too much because he's got championship on his mind and he is ahead of Hackett. It looks like he's going to wrap this thing up.
Peter Hackett hadn't had the best weekend, and John Bowe was trying to make it worse.
I don't think Peter Hackett's already had a headache from yesterday's crash. Now he's got one called John Bowe. The Ferrari is menacing in this last part. The leaders are on the last lap. These two are still on their penultimate lap. And Bowe is menacing the back of this Erebus Merc. In fact, he's into the back of it.
It's giving him a couple of love taps, there's no doubt. Bowie is a professional racer, very experienced. He will push him all the way and try to force a mistake.
And these two had an epic race at Sydney Motorsport Park earlier on in the year. But Bowe's got the headlights on. Last lap of 2012 in the Australian GT Championship. Third spot's on the line. Hackett's in way too deep. He's made an error. It's the second one in 2 races, but luckily he doesn't taste concrete this time, but the championship's gone.
Well, I was just saying how Bowie was applying the pressure. He's forced Hackett into a mistake. He's out-braked himself into turn 1 and run deep.
And he's not just missed by a little way there, he's missed by a long way. Never looked like making turn 1. Gives away third spot to John Bowe. We'll have to do a flick turn to get that car back on the road in 4th spot, but oh, what a bad weekend it's been. What a great weekend it's been for Bernd Schneider. He's at the final turn. He's dominated the field. He's handed out a driving lesson today and this weekend. He is now the 20th different round winner in the history of the Australian GT Championship. He's first, Daylight second. Well, it'll be Clark Quinn. He's at the final couple of corners. He's done what he needed to do. Runner-up in both races, run-up in the round, but he is the champ in 2012. Clark Quinn is the Australian GT champion. and I think he might be just a little happy.
I'm sure he is. He'll be absolutely pumped. A great effort there from Clark Quinn. Bauer comes across in third. And a good drive there, good solid drive in the Ferrari.
And that puts Peter Edwards on the podium for the round and third for the championship as well. Hackett recovered for fourth from Quinn and Conroy, but it was a small field, but Bernschneider absolutely dominated the pack. He claims the round victory. He'll stand on top of the podium. Clark Quinn second for the weekend, and Peter Edwards and John Bauer make it 3 different cars in the top 3 positions in the 7th and final round.
Well, Bert, you've come to Australia and you've shown these boys how to do it. A great effort.
I'm very, very happy because I know in the city race normally we suffer a little bit, but also well done for the Aerobus team because they made an awesome job. The car was amazing good, especially in the city race. In the race myself, everything was perfect. The brakes suffers a little bit. I'm happy and thank you for the whole team. They made an awesome job.
Schneider wins the battle, but it's Clark Quinn who wins the war. It's the 3rd time in 4 years that a Porsche driver has claimed the Australian GT Championship.
Well, Clark, you've been runner-up. Now you are the champion.
Yeah, how good's that? This is, this is what you set out to do from March at the beginning of the year, and to come away with the championship is it's awesome. You know, the first championship for me, so it's kind of special.
So Bernschneider has been a welcome addition to this final round of the championship. Clark Quinn seals the title. It's been a great year of Australian GT Championship racing in 2012. We've loved bringing it to you. Have a great Christmas. We'll see you in 2013.